And welcome back here to our the Gym Challenge mid-season showdown. I'm Dennis Geisler. With me is Arnie Wolf.
Hello, and Bidoof.
And Bidoof, of course.
And Ditto.
And, and the very funny Cher. We're going to get into top cut here, top 8. Andrew Ding, who went undefeated through our first 5 rounds of Swiss versus Younggyun Kim. Andrew with the Incineroar, Iron Jugulus, Serena, Fluttermane, Urshifu Rapid Strike, and for the restricted, Kyogre, Terra Grass, Assault Vest, Water Spout, Origin Pulse, Thunder, Ice Beam. On Younggyun's side, Incineroar, Raging Bolt, Amoonguss, Pelipper, and Urshifu Rapid Strike, and for the restricted, Calyrex Ice Rider, Terra Grass, Clear Amulet, Glacial Lance, Close Combat, Protect, Trick Room.
It's a very interesting team for both sides because there is, if you are Younggyun right now, you're like, oh, this isn't great. Kyogre outspeeds most of my team. You have Wide Guard, which is really useful for Pelipper. However, Kyogre, it's Assault Vest. We've been talking a lot about that. It's got Thunder, it's got Ice Beam, Origin Pulse, Water Spout, and it's especially defensive. So it's really useful because you can adjust your whatever move you need to use. So Pelipper got to be threatened by Thunder there.
I was going to say, I was talking to you beforehand. I feel like everyone I've talked to this tournament has lost to this Assault Vest Kyogre.
Especially if you get if your Moonga gets para-haxed. No, but Andrew's a great player, knows exactly what to do. The taunt on Serena is super scary for Younggyun because you cannot reliably set up Calyrex. The good news is you can knock out Serena as well, but you're not going to be doing that much onto Kyogre in general, no matter what you use, whether it's a Glacial Lance or Close Combat. Could use Amoonguss to force a Terra Grass onto the Kyogre and then go for the Glacial Lance, but it's going to be a real tough battle of positioning. There is one thing though, and that is that Urshifu Rapid Strike, which is Choice Scarf on Younggyun's side. It's also Choice Scarf on Andrew's side, but the nice thing with Younggyun's is you're going to outspeed the Kyogre and can go for a Close Combat. That's going to do 60 to 70% right away and chip that Water Spout. That being said, you still have Origin Pulse to deal with. And we're going to see that Calyrex and Urshifu lead on Younggyun's side, and Kyogre and Serena on Andrew's side. Yeah, I think that's the right lead for both. Like I said, there's 2 options here. You can U-turn out and go for the Trick Room, or you can Close Combat the Kyogre and go for a Glacial Lance. Both are solid. However, if you do, each one has the same variable of risk. So the question becomes, which one do you think Andrew's going to do? And it's now kind of a 50-50 read.
Yeah, to a degree. The big scary thing if you're Younggyun here is leaving in your Urshifu leaves it's going to get dumped by Power Whip. It can't really stand up to that too well. So the question ends up being, how long can you linger around with one of these Pokemon? What are you trying to do to Kyogre, and how much do you think you're going to be able to accomplish it? Because at the same time, I think, like, I don't know, an Origin Pulse, it's going to be okay damage right now.
Yeah, I think even regardless, the hard part here is, like, this Calyrex is kind of, it could go for an attack. There's that Close Combat onto the Kyogre, so yeah. But even if the Calyrex attacks here, it's not going to be doing that much on the Kyogre. It's resisted. It could go for Close Combat onto it, but that's going to just put it in a pretty bad position. We're going to see that taunt from Serena and preventing any potential Trick Room here.
Yeah, not to metagame things. It looked like, Andrew locked in a little late on the timer. Still got it in on time. Still was what was intended, but that's lower damage than I think Origin Pulse would have been. And will Glacial Lance finish it? It'll take down the Serena, but leaves the Kyogre at just a sliver of HP. That's a really good first turn for Younggyun.
It is. It definitely is. And you get that Chilling Nay boost, so +1 on attack. However, gotta worry about a couple things. Specifically, you've got this Urshifu right here, which is very threatening in the rain. However, there is that Terra Grass on Calyrex that is very useful no matter what the Terra, if it happens or not. I think your goal is to do that and then kind of just sacrifice Kyogre. There's not much it can do, and knowing that Incineroar is your last mon in the back, you do not want to be taking a Close Combat.
Yeah, I think the big thing here is you can kind of, the Urshifus can kind of go restricted for restricted right now, and Calyrex might even take the, probably not in rain.
I'm wondering if, like, this is an interesting call.
Yeah, switching it out is not a bad idea, because now you definitely take out the Kyogre, and whatever comes in, like the Amoonguss, you block it with a Rocky Helmet, do great damage in return.
I'm very curious how much Surging Strike is going to do. Close Combat, gonna go ahead and outspeed and knock out the Kyogre. And now with the defense drop, I think it would have knocked out even with the -1, but we are going to basically get a guaranteed knockout here. Not a horrible spot for either. It is going to be basically, I still think it's a really nice position for Younggyun because you still have one more in the back, but Andrew's last few here, the Urshifu plus the Incineroar, It could survive because you just try to not focus on the Amoonguss, but as soon as it clicks redirect,
yeah, I was gonna
it's
say
scary.
you can't not focus on the Amoonguss.
Although the interesting, well, you can actually. There's one thing that could happen. You do have Terra Grass still available on Andrew's side. You can use that on the Urshifu,
I did not realize that thing was Terra Grass.
and then just ignore Amoonguss because you got
at
safety
the same
goggles.
time, it doesn't do much to Raging Bolt though. That's
No.
the problem. Like, you Terra Grass, you're not taking the Rocky Helmet damage, but also like Thunderclap is gonna hit you really hard. Thunderclap might just, well, Thunderclap's not gonna knock it out.
It's not gonna
gonna
do
be
enough.
Grass type, but
You got a Dragon Pulse here, yeah.
yeah.
Which will do about 60% again. Basically, again, Andrew's not in a terrible spot. I mean, it's
Pretty
still
bad.
It's bad, but it's not undoable. You're gonna obviously be able to fake out onto the Raging Bolt and hit it with 2 X Surging Strikes. That partnered with a knockoff might just knock it out, and at that point, knowing that Calyrex is your last Mon, you could hopefully stall out the rain and then go for a Flare Blitz into it, and at that point, that might just do it. But then you also have to watch out for the Sludge Bomb here from Amoonguss.
Yeah, well, and not only that, but if you stall out the rain, the damage with Urshifu is going to be kind of low. Like, I think Urshifu probably does better damage than the Flare Blitz up against the Calyrex.
The only thing would be that Terra Grass, which is most likely going to come out.
Yeah, that is certainly true, but we'll I don't know. It's going to be tough.
Good news is knockoff plus.
That was an ideal
Surgery,
turn
yeah.
for Andrew in the sense that nothing happened to Andrew that turn. All of it happened to Younggyun.
This Surging Strike Folks knockoff should be able to pick up a knockout on Bolt. The question is, does this Bolt outspeed the Incineroar or not? Most likely it does, and if it does, that's the end of this Urshifu, and I think going to be the game for Younggyun.
Probably. Picks the right. Pick the right target and pick
Oh!
Yeah, I was gonna say, could end up attacking the Incineroar. I don't think that's an insane thing to do. We'll see what the Amoonguss decides to do.
That may have been detrimental there. I think if you targeted...
We'll see. Yeah, the Sludge Bomb's not gonna nearly be enough, and that means the Citrus Berry, I believe. Or no Citrus Berry. It's Safety Goggles. We spoke about that earlier. But still, it takes the hit. Now,
the Terra's gotta come out for Calyrex here, right? There's no choice.
I think if you Terra and Glacial Lance here, it's not that bad. I think Glacial Lance knocks out Urshifu.
I think after the Terra...
And I think since you're in rain, you'll be fine with Incineroar.
I actually
Potentially?
thought maybe I was wrong. I think even with the neutral rain neutralizing Flare Blitz, I think Flare Blitz plus Surging Strikes would have been enough to knock out because it's going to protect. That's actually not bad. It's going to come down to how much this Incineroar takes from a Sludge Bomb, most likely. But,
yeah, I think it's a roll. From what we saw earlier, it's probably a roll.
And that Calyrex taking these Surging Strikes really nice in the
That does no damage despite being in rain. That is actually insane.
That's wild.
That is wild.
Yeah, you gotta...
I think it'll come down to the Sludge Bomb, and there is the extra 10% chance that it picks up the poison, pick up the knockout, but
it's enough.
Okay, it is enough.
I think that's gonna give the game to Younggyun. Yeah. That's the way you beat this team, is to basically set up Trick Room or try to bring your Trick Room setter, and then you have to play the mind games. Do you set up the Trick Room that turn, or do you attack the Kyogre that turn? And Younggyun made the right read, and after that was able to just clean up. Still real, it did show the longevity of Andrew's team, was able to pick up the knockout onto the Raging Bolt relatively easily, but Calyrex just not great into it.
Yeah. Ultimately, the Serena did 0.
Yeah. I think actually Serena is there to taunt.
It is there to taunt, and it did get the taunt off, but like a Power Whip into the Urshifu would have been valuable. Like it would have had value.
Yeah.
As opposed to what we saw. Although, yeah, no, it would have gotten it off regardless. I don't know. It was.
It's an interesting case, yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't really get anything done. And on top of that, the Kyogre did less damage than it could have. Origin Pulse would have done more damage than Water Spout, I think, at that level.
Yeah, that was another thing which I think it's risky. If Origin Pulse...
And obviously it has the chance of missing, and obviously it does less damage if nothing had connected with you earlier, but still, I think, given the expectations of that first turn, I think it was fairly obvious that Origin Pulse was going to be the better in terms of just sheer damage output, Origin Pulse was going to be the better one.
Yeah.
And it meant that both of the Calyrex and Urshifu didn't even take that much damage from the water spout. They really just kind of stood there. And the Calyrex felt like it was full HP when it came back in later.
Yeah, that an Origin Pulse would have done at least enough damage to Calyrex where I think it may have possibly been able to hang on. Like, it would have probably hung on with the Surging Strikes, but it may not have. It would have been close.
Yeah, it would have at least been more of a question. There would have been more more issues down the line.
I'm pretty sure it would have gotten it to at least 25%. An Origin Pulse, if it hits, of course.
Yeah,
because you never know with Origin Pulse. But Andrew's swapping up the lead here. We'll see if Younggyun does the same. I think it's the right four though.
That's a really funny card. I think I've seen it before, but I still think it's funny. Give me the Urshifu Calyrex again on Younggyun's side. And this time it's going to be the Incineroar alongside the Kyogre.
Same leads, a little different. I actually like this lead a lot better for Andrew because you're free to fake out and then Thunder. So you're definitely going to be sacrificing the Urshifu and you don't have to rely on whether or not they're going to Water Spout. And if it's after that, you're free to knock off Calyrex, you're free to Ice Beam it, you've got a lot of options, you can scout the Terra. It's just a safer lead for Andrew right now.
Well, and frankly, you can also fake out the Urshifu and Water Spout if you want, which also leaves you with the opportunity of just doing a ton of damage turn one. Particularly if, okay, I'm afraid of Thunder, I have to switch this out or whatever.
And you really do not want to, even in Trick Room, say Calyrex sets it up, well, it can close combat Incineroar at best. And then other than that, you're free to just go for hits, go for a Water Spout, go for Thunder. Kyogre kind of benefits here more from the Trick Room and Calyrex. Yeah, I was gonna say that is not a surprising switch out because there's not really that much you can do against these two.
Yeah, it would have had a pretty unpleasant first turn. Raging Bolt switch in is nice. It won't take very much against the Water Spout. Is that Terra Ghost? Yeah, it's Terra Ghost on the Urshifu Rapid Strike here.
That's smart, predicting that fake out there.
Yeah. Which
close combat activates her, so no fake out. That does a lot less than expected onto the Kyogre.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it is a bulkier Urshifu here. And that does a lot more onto the Urshifu than you would expect.
That did a lot of damage. Yeah, because that Water Spout, at that percentage, I gotta imagine it's like 100 base or something like that.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Ooh, bonus knockoff, getting rid of that assault vest. That is gonna be
the
huge.
knockoff on top of it. And I think the knockoff was originally aimed into the Urshifu, expecting the Terra Ghost. So that was very clever, all things considered.
Yeah.
And now the Terra's burned, so it's a pretty free knockoff onto the Calyrex.
This is a very good Water Spout. It's probably Origin Pulse, really.
Yeah. Kind of do whatever you want.
I think a Thunderclap does pick up a KO, but Younggyun's not even going to risk that Thunderclap and just gets annihilated with that Raging Bolt. The Ice Beam picks up the knockout and thinks that's being knocked off. And now Incineroar can do whatever it wants to Calyrex.
Yeah, which is Will-O-Wisp, which is even more annoying.
Yeah, this was
straight up having the damage.
Beautiful match by Andrew there. I think, depending on what this last Pokemon is, I think, based on what I see, it is going to be Amoonguss.
It's not going to do much.
I don't think there's much damage output left on Younggyun's side.
I was going to say, that did a lot of damage to Kyogre. It actually felt like it was a lot of damage to Kyogre, and yeah, it was a critical hit.
And it is Amoonguss, yeah. Andrew kind of can pick this one up at this point without any stress. Origin Pulse, Ice Beam, could double up on Amoonguss.
I think you Ice Beam into the Amoonguss and then just clean things up. Somehow, we are at a point in time, and I guess that's just what burning does, but we are at a point where Calyrex is basically a low damage, not important, like, deal with it whenever you want Pokemon.
Yeah. Unless you get crit again, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, well, the problem is that crit doesn't go through burn reduction.
Nope.
So.
Oh, I told you. This is what happens when I'm involved with Andrew. Amoonguss, that's exactly what happened. Instead of Ice Beam, it was Thunder. So
and Ice Beam is only 10%. Thunder is 30.
Close combat, not even going to pick up the knockout on Kyogre. Oh my gosh.
And the Amoonguss is frozen solid.
I told you at the start of the match this is what was gonna happen. That Kyogre, I feel like it's holding some sort of like lucky charm because it is nailing these status conditions today.
And that is the game number 2 going to Andrew. Head to game number 3 for 1-8 quarterfinal matchup.
This is an interesting one. I like the idea of going for Raging Bolt as a lead. Maybe partner it with Incineroar or something, or maybe Calyrex. There's a lot of different options. Pelipper, we haven't seen come out. It has Wide Guard, although I do think it is threatened by quite a bit still.
Yeah, I don't love Pelipper in
No.
this match. I don't hate bringing Incineroar, although it's kind of scary to bring out Incineroar against Kyogre. I definitely get why Younggyun's been going with these 4, and I don't think it's wrong to go for these 4, but it does have to be in the right configuration, I guess.
Yeah. I think, though, Raging Bolt's really not a bad option to lead with, mainly because you got Snarl. So you could, A, put pressure on it with the Thunderbolt, force the Terra to grass, or B, you Snarl and neutralize it a bit, which is really useful either way. Only thing is, you've got that Sarina, and that is scary because it's got triple axle, so that's where I think you need something to handle that. And that if that's the case, a good lead would be to lead with Urshifu Rapid Strike, and that way you can U-turn out. I think that's probably just that combo is probably what you want to go for no matter what. Whether it's the Incineroar Kyogre or whether it's the Sarina Kyogre. I think that if you're Younggyun, you just lead Urshifu and Incin for this matchup. Urshifu and Raging Bolt. And then Calyrex for the back, and then pick between probably Amoonguss.
Yeah, and at that point you can even trap Kyogre a little bit with that lead with like either a U-turn or a Thunderclap or Thunderbolt.
Yeah, which is really useful. I mean, you can play, especially if you're trying to like bait the Thunder on the Urshifu slot, you can U-turn out into Amoonguss, and as long as it doesn't get parahaxed, then you can take a nice chunk of damage because I believe it does about 25%. That's great, and then your Raging Bolt can start neutralizing things. So not a bad option here, but we're going into
number 3 for all the marbles in the quarterfinal round. Decisive game, I guess.
Calyrex
Same lead.
And Incineroar Kyogre lead.
Same leads as game number 2. We saw the starting turn last time was the Terra for the Urshifu. Is the Calyrex switching out into the Raging Bolt. It was the Water Spout that knocked out the Urshifu. It was the switch out, or no, it was the knockoff that came after that onto the Raging Bolt. Something has to change from that.
I feel like the Younggyun's play right now is to get rid of the Urshifu, switch it into Amoonguss, and then Terra, Grass, and Trick Room. And then you could start going for Spores. Or force the Kyogre to Terra, and then you go for Glacial Lance. I think this Urshifu should get out. I think it should hard switch too so you don't get faked out. Could maybe protect Calyrex's turn to avoid a fake out, and then go for that option. But we're going to see this Incineroar on Andrew's side, Terra to Ghost.
Yeah, the Terra Ghost Incineroar makes it immune to close combat, both the close combats.
What's interesting about this, you could also Terra... Oh, close combat going on to Kyogre, so now this Calyrex is going to do some solid... It's got a very good chance of surviving and going into Trick Room here.
Yeah, and no Terra as of yet.
Half health Water Spell. Decent.
Yeah, it does, again, about half the HP to Urshifu, and does take the hit. Knocks off the Clear Amulet, but still takes the hit and goes for the Glacial Lance.
Ooh, that does not as much as you would hope. Good news, close combat can probably knock out Kyogre now. Bad news, this
Knockoff can probably KO the Calyrex, and you're going restricted for restricted, which isn't a terrible trade if you're either side here. Like, getting rid of Kyogre is valuable, but it also, like, I don't know.
I think, yeah, Urshifu switching out it's not bad. You do not want to have that Urshifu in against, with locked onto close combat against, like, Sarina or something. And Calyrex switching out, hard switch outs for Younggyun here. And that's going to be the Amoonguss, so not bad, though. This could be detrimental. If the Rocky Helmet's knocked off, that's going to be pretty nice for Andrew.
Just an Origin Pulse there. Going to do a little chunk of damage, and the knockoff going to do a bit of chip damage back and return to the Incineroar before it gets rid of it. Because yeah, now that it can't Terra Grass, now that the Urshifu presumably in the bag can't Terra Grass anymore, nice that it doesn't have to worry about the Rocky Helmet.
I think right now you gotta click Ice Beam onto the Amoonguss, or you could do it to Bolt.
You can kind of do either one, and like if it gets redirected to Amoonguss, it gets redirected to Amoonguss.
But the good news about Andrew's side, when you look at everything that's on the field, you've got Urshifu, weak to Sarina. Raging Bolt, weak to Sarina. Amoonguss, weak to Sarina. Doesn't have to deal with Rocky Helmet anymore. And no Thunderclap incoming.
I am surprised by that choice.
I would bet, like I said, expected.
Trying to get the Incineroar out of the way, and it doesn't pick up the knockout.
That I think
just
was
3 HP remaining.
Predicting the Serena switch in there. That's my guess. Yeah, especially with the Sludge Bomb, just to make sure it goes down. Wrong prediction there for Younggyun, and that is exactly why Andrew's team is so scary. There's so many different reads that you can make, and if you make the wrong one, it can end up like that. And now Andrew's able to go into Sarina and not really have to worry here. You gotta just land the triple axle on Amoonguss. I think once. It's maybe twice. It's a 1% chance each time. Or once on Raging Bolt, and that's much more efficient.
I think that's the more efficient route out of this one. Sarina's slow, but it's not that slow. I don't think it underspeeds Bolt.
It did not underspeed my Bolt, so chances are, if it's a pretty standard Bolt, Sarina goes first. Just having that in the back threatens Raging Bolt so much because you cannot Thunderclap anymore, and that is scary. And that's another thing that Andrew has been doing really well. Yeah, is like keeping that priority in check so you don't have to use your Terra on Kyogre, or you could just keep it as water type.
There's a triple actually faster than the Kyogre, which is not what I expected. Maybe I just don't know Sarina's speed.
Pretty fast. Makes sense if it's a bulkier Kyogre, which it is.
But in any case, Kyogre gonna Ice Beam into the Amoonguss, gonna pick that K up as well. And now just 2 Pokemon remaining for Younggyun, the previously injured Urshifu and Calyrex.
This is a really nice position for Andrew here.
Yeah, I think Andrew's got it pretty close to locked up, barring weird misses, I suppose.
Yeah.
But even then, in a pretty good spot to clean things up.
I think you just click Origin Pulse, and that should be able to pick up the KO on either one, even with Terra Grass on Calyrex. But
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised to see. The question is like, do you Power Whip? Do you Taunt? There's a lot of options for Sarina, and all of them are pretty good.
I feel like you do something like you gotta make sure you get rid of that Calyrex, I suppose, but probably the primary point of threat, I guess, is the Calyrex right now. Yeah. I'm gonna see the Terastal. It will be onto the Urshifu, the Terra Ghost.
It's not too bad. Doesn't want to get hit by a Power Whip.
I think at some point it's just done. I think at some point this thing is just not getting out of here. This will be close to getting the knockout.
I think it does.
I think it does get the knockout. I think you're correct. I think the problem is that if this Sarina hits Power Whip and knocks out the Calyrex, I don't think Younggyun has much of a way out of it.
7% chance.
7% chance, so says Arnie. Yeah. I haven't
per
done
Andrew. That was what Andrew told me.
And it does hit. And Calyrex goes down. Restricted for restricted a little later than we had thought. The rain is now down, and it is Urshifu coming in. Uh-oh. Parasect. Very scary.
Oh no, the Parasect.
Our third, the third side to this battle. We've got our battle royale from Alola.
There's only one Pokemon on the field. It counts.
Yeah,
yeah. Reminiscent of that. But Andrew in a really good position here to just click Surging Strikes, and that will do it. Andrew Ding moving on to the semifinals with an Assault Vest Kyogre.
Assault Vest Kyogre, still no losses on the day, no set losses. 6-0 in sets now today.
It is scary. It is very scary. So many good reads. It's just a team you do not want to play. And so Andrew going to be facing someone who wins in the semifinals. I believe all the other matches are still going on, which means there's a good chance all the other matches went to Game 3.
Yeah.
Shows you how equal this is. I feel like that's a lot more common in this format, Game 3s. So.
Yeah, we've had a lot of very even matchups, a lot of times where matchups swing pretty heavily pretty early on. It's A lot of interesting stuff. It's a really interesting metagame. I'm enjoying it, at least in the sense of there's a lot going on and a lot of weird archetypes that you get to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing too is with the restricted, there's a lot of creativity going on. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of different sets, even on common restricteds. Like Miraidon has a bunch of different sets. Koraidon has a bunch of different items. You can go bulk up, breaking swipe, U-turn. And so there's
Even here you've got the close combat on the Kali, which you don't always see. But in any case, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back for the semifinals. Don't go anywhere.